As you can see, this is a PlayStation Black Disc. Cut number 1 contains computer data, so please don't play it. But you probably won't listen to me anyway, will you?
So, so this is probably one of my first experiences with
With a CD player.
with the CD player. Actually, yeah. Yeah.
What was your first CD?
My
This?
first no, my first CD was Yngwie Malmsteen's "Facing the Animal," I believe.
Wow. My
Which
first CD was the Lion King soundtrack.
nice.
I
Did you
don't
feel
know
the
why.
love?
I was never a huge Lion King fan. I liked something, I guess. Anyway, yeah.
I just yeah. So my dad had a big stereo system. He had the it was speakers and it hooked up to a record player and a cassette player and CD player. So I don't know what persuaded me to put my games into that. I think there was a couple other games on the PlayStation that had music tracks on them too. I'm not sure, but
I
anyway,
think there was a bunch, wasn't there? I don't know. I vaguely remember it being a thing.
for some reason I stuck this Castlevania Symphony of the Night into my dad's CD player before I ever actually put it into my PlayStation. So this was my first experience with the game.
And what a first experience, man.
Yeah, but so I guess last week we talked about Castlevania Bloodlines,
Mhm.
and music was a large part of what made that game interesting to me, just because I felt like it was very clearly the same composer as
Mhm.
Symphony of the Night and
Mhm.
what came afterwards. So that's why I kind of wanted to start it with the music, but I felt like it wouldn't do justice to start with actual music from the game. Like
Wouldn't?
well, I mean, this was the first music in the game. I think the prayer during the screen where you get to name your file and stuff. And
I
I
mean, this to me even is quite like, yeah, I don't know. I would give this game an 11 out of 10 for music. I think probably a lot of people would.
yeah, like well, I mean, a lot of people might, but apparently, what's his name, Tak Fuji, the guitarist, he was actually quoted on Twitter just in March 7th saying, please, please, please let me tune my guitar and retake this. This was one of the worst, laziest attitudes. It's hard to even paraphrase him, so I'll just quote him directly. Please, please, please let tune my guitar and retake again. This is one of the worst lazy work attitude to regret strongly lately. Such a great composition, but damn guitar tuning do.
And
Uh,
now he'll be known for it forever.
well, yeah, because I mean, I'm skipping way later into the game to show that, but just because of the relevancy of him being disappointed with the music, like the unfortunate thing is I remember listening to this track in the game and loving it. It's like this metal thing with an actual guitar, but this guitar is definitely out of tune, which you'll hear once the solo-y type stuff starts in a second here.
I
It's
mean, I'm no like I'm not really a music guy. You can probably tell something. I almost assumed all the choices made were like intentional about making it. I don't know,
yeah,
like
yeah,
that kind of feel or something, which
yeah, yeah.
it might be foolish. I don't know. To me, with my virgin ears, yeah, I mean, this was fantastically awesome when this kicks in. There's so many good themes from this game. So
Yeah,
many
so
good
many.
themes.
Yeah, I haven't bookmarked them all. I can't play them because literally the whole soundtrack is just amazing.
Phenomenal. Yeah, yeah. One thing I think about this game, like the soundtrack, the soundtrack is fantastic, but like the I don't know, like the what's the word I'm looking for? Matching, like the application of it is
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I hate using the word amazing. Is just perfect. It's spot on. It's like there's one tune in the catacombs. It's like really eerie and creepy and done extremely well. It's like the da da na da na, like it kind of does that. I can't. um, but it's like the creepiest song in the game, in my opinion, and there's like frogs croaking and stuff. It's like this really eerie thing when you go really deep down.
I don't remember which track that is.
Just search for Catacombs, maybe, if you have 2 seconds there. It's like there's so many songs in this game that get stuck in your head, and they're awesome. And you could like I could hand you the soundtrack and say, listen to this, and you could come back and be like, wow, amazing soundtrack. But without like matching stage to music, I think like when you actually play the game, it just matches so well. Like, so the Catacombs theme made that part of the game so creepy and weird. And then when you're like in the crystal caves or whatever it's called in the bottom, and it's playing that, like, I can't even describe the theme, the whatever it is, I forget what it's called, lost something. I really did my homework. Is this what they're calling Catacombs? This isn't the one I had in mind.
Yeah, this is what they're calling Catacombs.
Do you know the one I'm talking about? It's like
no, you're gonna have to sing it more, I think.
That'll be the whole podcast. Anyway, everything in this game is fantastic as far as music goes. It's like, I don't know what their actual process was, but it very much does feel like each tune was like for that area of the game and done extremely well. Even like the first level, like when you run in there and the music is, so the clock tower is the famous theme, the one you played, and it's so awesome and you're so into it. But this one to me is like the second coolest, like, holy shit song, and it's the first one. So you're playing the game and this kicks off and you're like, holy shit, this game.
I was definitely hooked on the music in this game, and this was one of the ones where I was just like, oh man, I loved the Nintendo soundtracks. I loved the Super Nintendo soundtracks, like Secret of Mana and Final Fantasies and all that. Those were just great. But once we got into here, like, there was such a quality difference.
Oh yeah, it's CDs, man.
Yeah,
music's their thing.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. There's
nostalgia, man. This brings back memories.
Yeah, it's. I mean, there's this part here too.
Die, monster! You don't belong in this world.
It was not by my hand that I'm once.
I feel like this to me. So
what's funny is I thought the English, so the Japanese voice acting is actually
like serious.
Serious. The English voice acting, for the most part, I think in this game is actually okay, except for this. Which they must have known it was like so hammy, and they're probably just like, this game's gonna be famous because it's awesome. We don't care. Fuck it.
Yeah, this part right here.
Perhaps the same could be said of all religions.
Your words are as empty as your soul.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every single this part here.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets. But enough talk. How about you?
I feel like every single line of those is like a meme all in itself. Like,
it's interesting how. So this one, I don't know. If you look at the original script, they don't say any of those things, of course. Right? Which, it's funny because the other day, or yesterday actually, I had my Genesis still set up because we were playing the previous Castlevania game, and so I was just screwing around trying some different games, and I played Zero Wing, which I know is super famous for like the whatever memes or whatever around like the all your base are belong to us and all that stuff. But it's just the original, like just the Japanese version, and it's so like the intro is actually cool, right? All the cutscenes and the guys are like, whoa, and it's got this like hot like arcade music and whatever. But of course, without all the funny mistakes and stuff, it's just like a pretty deadpan, evil monster alien appears, says this, says that. And I actually see where the translations come from. This game is like, just let's make up a new script. They probably brought in, like, I imagine a guy who almost looks like Dracula. Like, this very theatrical, like, stage actor guy, like who shakes his head a lot and his hair moves around when he talks, doing the lines for Dracula. Like, that's not his first time voice acting for sure. Yeah. But he's also not like he's like a stage guy or something.
Yeah. I remember, I loved it. It was one of the first games that I played with voice acting, and even though it was terrible, like,
showed the promise.
Konami and Capcom had some special stuff back then, like the Resident Evil stuff.
You call? Oh man, that
you
was
were almost
so.
a Jill sandwich.
That almost, I wouldn't say it ruined Resident Evil for me, but it definitely cut down the scariness significantly through the whole game. No, don't go at the start, and you're like, well, come on. That's especially fun. I'm not trying to over-index on this like Japanese versus English thing, but if you play the Japanese version, it's all subtitled in Japanese, right?
Yeah.
But it's the same English actors. So in Japan, they released it with all those English actors talking in
nice.
English.
Nice.
And just subtitled it. And so that's actually why the acting is so horrible if you think about it. It's like if I made a game that took place in ancient China, so I just hired Chinese voice actors to do all the voicing and I just translated it or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, they could be the worst voice actors ever and I don't notice maybe. And then when you release the game in China, they'd be like, what's this shit, right? But the other problem is if I made this game and I wrote a script and the way people talk in my language, English, is not like the kind of exact sentence per sentence translation of what you'd say in Chinese. And so when you try and translate it, it's like the sentences just get really weird.
Yeah.
So that's why like when you play, when they, what is it? Hey, Jill, take this key, you, the master of unlocking, could use it. Like there's just these really weird lines. Yeah, and it makes sense in the original language, actually. It just sounds very normal. But when you directly translate it, it just sounds so stupid. And so, like, just that effortless translation. But yes, anyway, back to Symphony of the Night. I for all those reasons, actually, exactly, with the Zero Wing case and the Resident Evil case, you can see why, like, maybe just kind of throwing out a little bit of that original translation and, you know, rewriting something makes a much better and funnier effect.
I loved it. I mean, I at this point I hadn't played Bloodlines. I think the most recent game I'd played was Castlevania 4, and I felt like I was so
most
excited.
Recent in what sense? Sorry, the last one you had played, like not the newest release, obviously.
Yeah, like at the time that Symphony of the Night came out, and I was picking this up. Yeah. To me, I was really excited to get back into a Castlevania, especially because like everything else on the PlayStation just was like all like Virtua Fighter and like all these like 3D low polygon things, Crash Bandicoot and stuff.
Ditto.
Getting
it was this. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Just getting a nice 2D experience again was something that I was pretty excited for, and I think they nailed this game.
Yep, it's like when there's some. I forget what it's called. Is it the Pareto principle or the Pauli principle or something? There's a few principles that work, and there's like the one about how like a meeting fills its time slot necessarily, so just shorten the time slot or something. One of them is like you get promoted. What is it? You get promoted until you're not good at the job anymore or something. I forget. There's some principle about like when you get promoted, like you're really good at your current job, and that's why they promoted you to kind of go do something else. So you're restarting a little bit, right? And I feel like. Maybe that's I'm spending too much time on this, but like when 3D came out, it's like they had mastered the 2D game, and it made sense. Let's do new things. Look, 3D is new. Look, let's get this right. Let's try all these new things. Wow, awesome! But like, still at that point, you could kind of take a step back and say, well, you know, we're trying all these different 3D games. Look, we made a 3D Mega Man now. Look, we made Resident Evil. It's kind of pseudo whatever, and the Final Fantasy moved into 3D world. But we know we could make an awesome 2D game if we wanted to, and I feel like most companies at the time were like. But no one's going to buy that. No one cares. We don't want to seem like we're stuck in the past. Meh. Whereas Castlevania guys said, well, we're going to make an awesome game. And they did, right? And that's it, right? And I felt like they went with, I don't know, I guess in a way it wasn't really the most innovative game. Like you'd already had Metroid, Super Metroid with the kind of map system, and it was like the sixth Castlevania and everything. But for all those same reasons, they took all the elements that they knew worked and combined them so masterfully with like such wonderful flavor. Like the music was fantastic. I love the graphics, like all the different monsters, all the different rooms and stuff. I wish there was a little more outside in the game. Anything. Do you remember the part? I'm sure you do. There's a part where like you could sit on a table and look out a telescope or something, and you could just kind of see outside the castle. And I remember playing it the first time and thinking, "Wow, awesome! I'm gonna get to go there." It's like kind of a hint of what's coming. It's gonna be so cool. I can't wait. There's gonna be like the courtyard inside the castle, and there's going to be like ponds and stuff, and then just kind of never materialized. Which is fine, but that would have been interesting.
Yeah, there was lots of there were small little moments like that. There was the one where you get to look out and I guess you could see the Charon the ferryman. There was
Mhm.
like other spots where you could like sit down and a ghost would come and do confessional or something. Like I I think
There's
there were a couple of just small little
Yep.
vignettes that didn't really serve a purpose but helped just build the atmosphere.
What I like is like when they have, I guess, Easter eggs or whatever, but it's not like if it's part like I'm might be the only person in the world, but I'm not the biggest fan of like achievements,
Mhm.
honestly. And maybe I'm stuck in the past, or I'm such a retro gamer or whatever bullshit. But like you play Symphony of the Night. I don't think this game would be better with achievements. Like if they re-released it on Steam, I wouldn't want to see like 30 achievements. Now I'm gonna go get them. Like I just honestly I just don't care. But like completing the game, like if you want to be a completist because it's your favorite game, like this is a good example. You can find out what all the items are and try to find them all. You can get 200% or 206% or whatever it is in the map, sure, but like there's things that kind of fall out of any sense of completionism, and
Mhm.
there's no achievement for them, but they're just kind of there, and I like that a lot. And one fun example was, I think I've probably shared it before, but me and my other friend, we looked at the whole soundtrack, and there was a song we never heard in this game that we both played through 1,000 times, and we're like, what is this song? And it's like this girl singing, and we're like, okay, whatever. So we look it up online, and it ends up there's the different familiars, right? There's like the little
Right.
whatever devil
The
guy,
imp.
and one of them's a fairy.
Yep.
And there's that place where you can sit down in the game. There's like a few, I think, chairs you can sit in, but there's one particular. You sit there and you wait like a minute, and if you have her selected, she starts to sing, and it's
Oh.
that song. And it's like a very kind of hidden, like how would you find that, right? So we went and triggered it, and it's neat. It's like, oh, there's that song we never heard before off of the soundtrack. This girl singing, but like maybe in a modern game that would be some dumb achievement or something, but like here it's just a very hidden, subtle thing in the game, and I like that. There's a bunch of those, and it's cool.
Right. Okay. So I'm just finding that right now. Um, I've actually never seen this before. Okay. So it's in the library.
Yeah, I can send you my personal video of capturing it, or you can just do it yourself, I guess.
Um. So the sorry,
It's gonna be like a
I've
minute. Mhm,
oh, this is
mhm.
it here.
Yeah. So if you listen to the soundtrack, this song plays. And it's very easy to miss. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I had no idea it existed.
Yeah.
So apparently they reference this Easter egg in Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. If you there's a piano in a garden, and if you have a particular familiar with you while you play the piano,
Plays this
some
song.
I don't know if it's this song in particular.
It's a similar Easter egg.
Neat.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
even like again, where I'm saying like the music they made always seemed to perfectly match everything. Like here, it's like you're going through this creepy castle, but at the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
time, it's
Yeah.
Alucard, and he's kind of at home there in a sense, and like he sits in a chair and relaxes, and you have this very familiar. Like that seems like the kind of song she'd play, and it's very relaxing, right? Like I don't know, a sloppier way would be to have her just do scales or something, right? Like they put so much effort into these little places. I just
Right.
very impressive to me. Sound wise.
I have to bring it up just because we were talking
Mm.
about the achievements.
Mhm.
There's
You are lying. I never hit you. You are tearing me apart, Lisa.
so that line from the amazing movie The Room. When they made Symphony of the Night on PlayStation 4, there's an achievement called "You Are Tearing Me Apart, Lisa." So
So they did make Symphony of the Night achievements.
yeah, they did.
How many?
So
What are they awesome? They
so
make the game way more fun.
yeah, I guess. So that one, "You're Tearing Me Apart, Lisa." I guess Alucard's mom is named Lisa, right? So if you see
Okay.
if you see the depiction of the succubus, if you see through the lie, that's the achievement that you get for that.
Yeah, achievements are neat. I'm just not. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
not. I'm not against their existence. It's just interesting. You can compare this kind of game, which has,
Yeah.
well, I guess they've re-released it with achievements, but like without the achievements, and I just feel it's almost more like I feel less compelled
Yeah.
to go and do all the stuff. I'm just happy when I find it. Like I feel like this is one of my favorite games.
Yeah.
And so if it had been released recently with achievements, I probably would just out of some dumb, I don't know, human desire to be like all over my favorite game or something. Like I would probably go and get all the achievements where without them, I know there's little Easter eggs here and there and I'm just happy
Yeah.
when I find them across different playthroughs. Maybe that's just me being kind of a weirdo, but
Yeah, it's weird because I don't know. Like I find it interesting to hear about this very familiar song now because I honestly had no idea. Like that's an achievement too. It's called Aria of Sorrow. But there's
less
some,
hidden nowadays. If it's called out as an achievement too, right?
yeah, that's the thing, right? Like there's one of these that it's like summon a cow using the shield rod, and it's just like yeah, there's little things like that, or successfully eat a peanut. There's like these little things in the game that when you discover them, and it's 100% discovery mode, that you're just doing this on your own. There's like so much charm and excitement in that. But if you're looking at a checklist and you're trying to collect them all, it's just like a completely different experience.
And that's the problem. And the problem too is it will always be a checklist. I mean, they're not. Maybe they're not. Even if you hit all the achievements, I mean, we're in the internet age, right? At some point, someone is going to produce a checklist, and you're going to want to go and get 100% or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we could bitch about achievements or
Yeah.
highlight the wonderful things about them another time.
I mean, like, well, there's the one here, obtain 200.6% map completion, and it's like that was something that I felt was just so amazing at the time, is playing the game and realizing that there was more than 100%.
There's charm, especially in the pre-internet age. I mean, geez, this game was like 97. I guess this was the cusp of the internet age. But in the pre, like everyone quickly goes to the internet and checks everything world. It's like just discovering things was so wonderful, right? Like I agree with you. You get the map percent and you watch it ticking up as you play the game. You fight Dracula and your map is at like 99% or something. You missed a few areas. Damn, I really like this game, but I'm at the end. Oh man, cool. Beat Dracula. Do all these things. Your friend mentions there's this secret thing you can do to beat Dracula and open some stuff. You figure that out or whatever, right? And like now you're in the second half of the game. Whoa, it's above 100. Whoa, right? Whereas now you would buy the game on PS4 or whatever, and you can quickly eyeball the checklist and see that there's one saying get 200%. Okay, well, I know that's a thing. What's that about, right? Like, I just feel it kind of plucks out the discovery bits a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, I definitely got my money's worth out of that game. I rented that several times before buying it. And the one thing, I mean, I guess it was you that probably introduced me to the Saturn version.
Almost certainly.
Yeah, because I mean, I didn't have a Saturn. I'm pretty sure I played that version for the first time at your place, and I was like so surprised at the fact that they would have a different version of the game. Like the idea of I loved playing through Symphony of the Night as Richter, and so like discovering that you could play through as Maria, I remember just being like so in awe of this and wanting to do it, and I never bothered to get the Saturn version. I eventually did get that version for PSP.
Right. Is it the Saturn version they put on PSP?
Sort of.
Effectively, some sort of.
Well, it's like it depends on who you talk to, right? like it's it's a more realized version of it, I guess. So if you look at speedrun.com, like they count the Saturn version as like different than the PSP version because they fixed a bunch of the bugs and stuff. So it's the PSP version is less glitchy.
I see.
But I mean, mechanically, if you're not exploiting glitches, it's kind of the same game. The one major difference is they cleaned up. I don't know if "clean up" is the correct word or butchered the dialogue. Like so, for example, yeah. So like this is the dialogue.
Leave this world. You'll never belong here.
Oh, but this world invited me. Your own kind called me forth with praise and tribute.
Tribute? You're a thief. You steal men's souls, their freedom.
Freedom is always sacrificed to faith, good hunter. Or are you truly here by choice?
All I'm here for is you. To hell with your heresy! You're nothing but a blight on mankind.
Ha! Mankind. A cesspit of hatred and lies. Fight for them and die for their sins.
That was very interesting. So that it sounded a little bit closer to the original,
Yeah.
like the Japanese one, but then with more, still some of the like humans are hatred and lies, like human this, human that thing. It's almost like they mixed them a little bit and took out all the funny bits from the English one.
Yeah, like that,
making a very like kind of sterile end result.
It's interesting because like so many people were making fun of the what is a man? A miserable pile of secrets. Like so many people made fun of that stuff for so many years that I completely understand how when they're re-releasing this game for modern consoles and stuff, the Konami doesn't want to be made fun of and they want to just kind of like fix it. But yeah, it's like it's more stale and dry now. It's like they made something that was like hilariously bad and
if I was Konami, I think I would ham it up a little more. Like don't change anything, just like I don't know, like pump the volume or something. I would do something, like highlight that it's a joke, but it's such a part of the game and its ethos. That's unfortunate. One sec, sorry.
Yeah.
A few moments later.
Oh man, I don't know how you ever carve out any amount of time to get away from kids.
Well, right now it helps that my kid knows full well that I'm recording and he's on YouTube eagerly awaiting for me to wrap up so that we can play some more Pokemon Let's Go Eevee.
I see. Yeah, my kids know, but just seem to forget everything I tell them every time, and I don't know. I don't really have any solution. The dialogue you were playing.
It was amazing. Originally, like I knew that it was bad, and I still loved it.
Everyone did. I wish. I mean, no one played Rondo of Blood in the West, right? Or I don't even know if it was out at all in any form at the time, right? They basically skipped it.
Yeah.
And this game opens with the end of that game. Like, it would have been cool if more of us played that, and that was the newest Castlevania. Then this one came out.
Well, you know what?
It links so perfectly.
So there's two things that are interesting about that. Is like one, like that intro, that intro sequence. I got to call up the music for that because that's just some of the best. Oh man.
Yeah. This game had awesome music too. Rondo of Blood. Awesome soundtrack. So
what was interesting about this is like the first time I play the game, I'm playing as Richter. I was a little bit confused because his in-game art didn't look anything like the promotional art. Like he's wearing like almost like a martial arts outfit or something with a headband on in the game, whereas like in the booklet he's like just as frou-frou as Dracula and Alucard with like cloaks and lace and stuff, and so I was confused by that, and so like some of the fan art that I was doing at the time, I was like redrawing him as like the anime version from in the game. But one thing that really confused me is when I was playing this, this level starts off, this introduction starts off with the caption like Bloodlines final stage.
Yeah.
And to me, having not played Bloodlines, that became the canon in my head, was that Bloodlines on the Genesis was the one that, with Richter.
Oh, really? I feel like the Bloodlines thing get used all over the place. And I feel like there's a few... I just remember at one point being like, whenever I saw Bloodlines, it was just like, sure, it's somewhere in there or whatever.
Yeah.
Probably because of exactly this, the two games, the Genesis one and this one.
Yeah, I guess. So it was a long time before I learned about Rondo. I think it was when I got the PSP version. It's like, I think you had to buy Rondo of Blood, and then as you played that, you could unlock the original version of Rondo, and you could unlock Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
So I think I basically played through like this new 3D version of Rondo until I unlocked those other things, and then I just played those.
I spent years trying to track down a PC engine and this game in like the late 90s, to no avail, just because it was really hard to get in the West at the time, especially in Canada. If you could find one in the US, it was really expensive, and then the Canadian dollar was so bad, you basically it was more than a 50% markup, right? I mean, it was like 65 cents.
Right.
Plus like whatever the bank took, plus like extra shipping fees and everything else. If you ship directly from Japan, it was even worse. And so just trying to get my hands on one at the time was super impossible. But I was aware of the game, which is the best thing to say.
Did you ever manage it?
Yeah, no, I have one now.
Right. You were planning on playing Snatcher or something on it, weren't you?
Yes. My friend, as a wedding gift, gave me his PC Engine and his whole game collection. I was like,
Nice.
Oh, and I've since rebought. I mean, they released so many PC engines. There's like so many versions of it, but I bought basically the best one, because the one he gave me was fried. But I have all his games, including Rondo of Blood.
Nice.
So I do have a little modest PC engine collection. But yes, the game is so I think it's an excellent game. I think it's cool they did the cutscenes. The like kind of Japanese cartoony cutscenes are like really a little cheesy for me, but still really fun.
In Rondo, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually like in Symphony of the Night how they didn't really have any of that. It all felt very in-gamey, and then when people talk, they just had the little port or whatever image there.
I wish I had it bookmarked so that, or something that I can reference. I remember reading something like that. There's that introduction scene where they did do like this incredibly high quality CG opening for Symphony of the Night, where you see the castle, and I seem to recall reading like the polygon limit and stuff on that at the time was just so incredibly atrocious. Like,
where the I mean, I remember the one you're talking about. I don't remember being overly impressed by it.
well, I mean, I'm talking it up. I mean, for the time, even I don't know if you compare that to like Final Fantasy VII, it was pretty bad. But
yeah,
that was like the idea of like jazzing the game up and making it extra fancy at the time, was just throwing in like 20 polygons. And
it's funny. I'll say this all the time, but like those early 3D games where like it's almost as if companies thought everyone would be impressed by anything. So like you're exactly right. Like here's a game that felt so polished, and it was so polished from a 2D game perspective, I guess. Let's just throw some pre-rendered junk into it.
yeah,
Even like another I guess criticism of this game is the game over screen.
yeah,
I just feel like it's so ugly. Like the box art in the American version sucks. Sorry if you like it, but the Japanese box art is actually really good. So if you have the Japanese packaging, you get this game, looks great. You look through it, looks great. CD looks great. Pop it in. You know, the intro, but like everything else is pretty nice, really great. And then you die, and you get this like ugly ass game over screen with like a cow skull. It looks like it's from or a buffalo skull. It's like it looks like it's from like Yellowstone Park or something. It's just so weird to me.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there was oddities. I was impressed. There's like the section right near Dracula's chamber. I think you're like going up the stairs or something, and you can see the clock tower in the background.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit of rotation to it or something. It's
yeah, stuff like that was actually a good touch, I guess, compared to like I don't know. I was never a huge fan of like pre-rendered videos. I bring it up all the time. I think you were mentioning in Final Fantasy VIII that was like one of the things that like directed your career almost, how impressed you were with that. Whereas I was like, can I play the fucking game? Come on. Like
it's interesting for me to have this like real dual sided opinion on Final Fantasy VIII, because there were aspects like the music.
I have no such opinion. It's all raw hatred for me.
I liked a lot of the music
like what?
Doom, 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 doom,
I hated that shit. I hated that shit. Play like the Final Fantasy 5 overworld or 6 overworld or like it was different. It's fine to be different, but like or 7,
Yeah.
7 was okay. That's another topic. We'll work our way up to that. Yeah, we talked about Symphony of the Night, basically music for 30 minutes. How about the game?
I loved it. I mean, I so what's interesting is like most people like this is the beginning of the Metroidvania genre, right? And for a lot of people, they saw Super Metroid, and this is kind of the same game. What's interesting is that Igarashi he says that it was Zelda that inspired this game more so than Metroid.
In what sense?
In the sense of like finding the secret stuff and backtracking and having
opening more of the map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for him, that's what he said, is that it was actually Castlevania, Zelda that inspired Castlevania Symphony of the Night. The transition between like the Bloodlines format of super arcadey to this. So I, like the exploration stuff I thought was interesting. Like Castlevania always had that, like finding turkeys in the wall.
Apparently they're pork chops. I always thought it was a turkey too.
I always thought it was a Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, the manual says pork chop.
Yeah. But like the ability to like explore and find these secrets and stuff, I loved it. I was always a fan of like Street Fighter 2 and being able to do like button combinations to do special abilities and stuff. So when they threw that into this game where like you could have the magic spells and each weapon itself had like a little thing, like it felt great. I loved it.
Yep, that's interesting. I never painted you as a love Street Fighter 2 person.
I mean, I loved it at the time. I wasn't obsessed to the point where I was like getting into the hyper tournament edition, and I didn't keep up with it into like Alpha and Street Fighter 3 and 4 and all that stuff. But Street Fighter 2, when that was out, I thought it was great.
Yeah. I mean, I mostly share your opinion. Let me open with my biggest negative about the game. I just think it's too easy. I never really felt significantly challenged. I think we talked about this in another podcast. The leveling system, I always feel.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you have levels, then you can always just go grind, and now it's easy, right? Even playing through with no grinding, no anything. Mm-hmm. I don't know. There's like maybe one boss that gives me any trouble. I just find it to be a very easy game, which is unfortunate. But like it's fun because I see a lot of people doing like, I don't know, no weapon playthroughs, or like no equipment at all playthroughs, and it's like in a way I don't want to have to do that because it's fun getting the weapons and it's fun doing this and it's fun doing that. But there's like mechanisms to make the game harder if that's your thing, which is cool. But overall, I guess another super minor criticism. I felt like the second half went on a long time, which might sound weird. I feel like, I mean, obviously the second half of the game is harder and it's in the upside down castle. But like when I remember the game, most of what I remember is playing the upside down castle. Yeah. Which feels, I don't know. The first half of the game is all exploration and like it's this new area and oh wow, this is cool. The second half felt like revisiting it in the afterworld, which was awesome, but like that's the whole second half.
I think interestingly, part of what makes it feel slower is the fact that it's all gameplay and it's not broken up with story. I feel like that was part of the charm of the first half of the thing, is like every now and then you found Maria and had a small little conversation, or you found Richter and he laughed at you before you had to fight like Grant and Sifa, and so I felt like that helps break it up. Whereas once you got into the second half of the game, it's like there was nothing to break it up. It's all just explore and fight, and it kind of the pacing was not as much of a story, I guess. There was no highs and lows. It was all just kind of constant.
Yeah, which is fine. It's almost like it reminds me of Final Fantasy VI, actually, in a way. because
Yeah.
the whole first half is all story or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's just like, here, go do everything you want for the whole second half of the game in this like dreary
Yeah.
world.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a good comparison. It's interesting how much I loved Final Fantasy VI, and I did generally kind of want to stop once I got to the second half of the game.
Final Fantasy VI, I remember. There's a lot of little tangents here, but Final Fantasy VI, I thought was the best game in the entire world ever for any reason. Just give me this game, like obsessed with it crazy, right until the second world.
Yeah.
And I did not enjoy the second world. I felt like the first half of the game is the best game ever, and the second half of the game is like a 4 to 10, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just felt very like, what's the word I'm looking for? Aimless. Which, I mean, I don't know, is for some people. I mean, I almost like, I guess, I mean, I'm the one that's always saying like the game should be good in absence of any sort of story elements, right? And like it is the same game, and that was kind of what the second half of Final Fantasy VI was. So maybe it bore some of the weakness of this genre, as far as my opinion goes, where like it's not as fun when there isn't a story pumping you along. But yeah, it did play out that way, I think. And I guess for Symphony of the Night, I didn't really. I definitely enjoyed the first half more, but it wasn't like a steep cliff the game kind of fell off of right at that point. If anything, it was like, whoa, second half whoa, second world, everything's upside down. This is awesome, right? And then I don't know, it just kind of went on a little. If I had to bring up a negative, it was really fun getting to the very end, though. That was awesome. The culmination of everything.
Yeah. Where you actually fight Dracula itself.
Yeah. I'm just having this conversation is making me want to play through the game again, actually.
Yeah, I've considered rebuying it a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you as far as like the difficulty curve with a la carte, and I don't know. I think that's part of the charm too. Like I liked having something that I could kind of like find these special items. Like there was a weapon that you found where it attacked like 5 times every time you press the button, and it's like there were some cool things like that. I personally really enjoyed always using the magic spells and stuff. So even though it wasn't overly difficult, I felt engaged all the time.
Yep.
I really loved playing as Richter in that, like, and I feel like that was so much more of a challenging game.
I was just going to say that's kind of your hard mode, right? To
Yeah.
give you Richter, and it's optional enough and it's different enough that it's like it feels better than like going back to Bloodlines. Like here's just 2 characters.
Yeah.
Play the whole game as well. I mean, it's in a way it's the same, but it's like it's quite a different game, right?
Yeah.
And remind me, I think there's like I mean, obviously Richter can't turn into a mist and go through the gating and stuff. So like you have to actually like there's areas you can't even get to as Richter, but then at the same time, as Alucard, you have to like traverse a certain path to get these abilities that let you get up into these other areas where Richter can like do the weird jump thing and get up there right away and stuff like that. And so like in a way, it's like I think it's a shorter game, isn't it, as Richter, because you don't do all the stuff.
Yeah, a little bit. But I mean, I felt more excited, I guess, exploring as him. Like whenever I would collect a health increasing potion or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Like when I found those, it felt like a relief and like a good reward. So much
harder, right?
Yeah.
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 I just, if I could go back and change anything, I would make it harder as a first playthrough on Alucard, regardless of all the other things. But playing as Richter was fun. Playing as Maria on the Saturn version is also.
I found that was the easiest, was playing as her.
Yeah, it's almost broken. I was gonna say, like, you can fly around and do whatever, but it's just it's kind of a novelty mode, really, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's fine. That's cool.
Did you ever play as Axe Lord?
What's that?
Can
you actually? Is that a thing? See, still things I don't know.
Yeah, it's you can type in. Let me see here. Axe Lord, SOTN. Old axe armor. So I guess I'm confused.
Could you do it on the PlayStation version?
Yeah. So, so you can get the Axe Lord armor in the regular game. But okay. So there's something called axe armor You can
Yeah.
type that in, and like when you did these other modes, you had to type in Maria or Richter or what.
Yeah, yeah.
You could type in Axe Armor, and what that does is it gives you the Axe Lord armor right from the beginning, and when you equip that, you turn into one of those Axe Knights. So it's like
Yeah.
your jump is just like pathetic, and you throw your axe across the screen like you look like one of those things with the blue armor, and
Yeah.
it was pretty incredibly hard.
I'll bet it was. That's I have a vague that seems vaguely familiar, but I certainly didn't I didn't beat it as Axe Lord.
Yeah.
Or Axe Armor.
Yeah, apparently you can also acquire the armor by assaulting the librarian.
That's funny. So you can actually get it in the course of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Very awesome. Very awesome.
Uh,
Fantastic game. Yes.
I don't know. I think that's probably got to be in the top 10 games on PlayStation, at least. Like it was. I feel like it was just solid all around.
Yep, agree. Definitely agree. It felt like no one else was doing this kind of game too. Like I said, it's something. It was innovative in a few ways, I guess, minor little ways, but it was more like a culmination of good things from other games that they'd already tried, but then they just did it so well when no one else was doing the same thing, and it really made it stand out to me.
Yeah.
So like everyone at the time was so excited about whatever Resident Evil, Final Fantasy, and then here's this game, right? And yeah, I don't know. It's just I fully agree with you. You've done really, really well, really, really fun, awesome production quality, everything. Great packaging. It's funny. Do you know what Alucard is from?
You're gonna have to be, I guess, more specific.
Well, like the character wasn't invented for this game.
Oh yeah. Like he was in Castlevania 3, right?
Well, it's not from Castlevania, right? It's just from the from like it wasn't in the Dracula novel, but it was
right
in the like supplemental like folklore of Dracula stuff, right? So specifically, I'm really into the old Universal monster movies, and there's like there's Dracula, son of Dracula,
right?
Whatever, Dracula's return, Dracula meets the Wolfman, whatever. And in Son of Dracula, there's Alucard, 1940s movie.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's just there, and it's like part of what's going on. I don't know if it was specifically from that movie, but do you know where Alucard the name comes from?
I mean, it's just Dracula backwards, right?
Yeah, so they came up with that in the 40s in some movie.
Okay.
And then here we are, like, he also shows up in an awesome video game that's very, very loosely related to actual Bram Stoker Dracula stuff.
Right. Yeah, it's there was a character named Alucard in Helsing. There's
that's what I meant. I said it's part of the like
right
supplemental. What's the word? It's like there's the Star Wars extended universe or whatever. It's
right.
The Dracula extended universe.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, almost all of the monsters and stuff have
cameos,
backgrounds outside of this game. Like almost nothing for the game has ever been original. But
I mean, yeah, it's based. So you think of Castlevania altogether, and it's like this '80s arcade game. They just said, let's pull in all these monsters. It's gonna be awesome. And now, when you have like the 8th iteration and it's super polished, it still kind of shows its its funny origins a little bit. But it's that's part of the charm too.
It's interesting. The more they tried to expand that universe, like they did Lament of Innocence on the PlayStation 2, where they tried to like explain the origin of who is Dracula and where did the whip come from and all of this stuff, and it's fine. I mean, it always worked with that like arcadey thing, like the first one where you just haunted castle, go in and kill things.
Yeah, I'm actually that's a midi-chlorian type thing for me. Like at some point you just don't explain it. We all love it. Who cares? No one's begging for an explanation. Not some sort of canon one anyway, in my opinion.
So you never got around to watching any of the cartoon, have you? On Netflix. No. I recommend it. I season 1, you got to watch season 1. Okay. I think there's at least I think there's 3 seasons, and now they're going to be making a Symphony of the Night one, and you got to give season 1 a shot. It's
Okay.
it's I think so well done.
Yeah, really. Maybe if I get around to it. I'm just not a sit down and watch TV shows person. I just can't help it. But if I sit down to watch anything, I'll give it a try. Is it still on Netflix? Like it's just permanently kind of there, right? Yeah.
Probably, like they paid for it, so I don't think it's like a Disney show where they're gonna run out of their contract or something.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Any elaboration? It's just.
Well, I mean, it's very, very inspired by Castlevania 3.
Right.
So I mean, Grant Dynasty's not in it. But
you need him to beat the game, man. Come on.
Yeah, but it's all about the story of Dracula in Wallachia.
I see. Cool.
It's a really well done. I think I can't remember if it's season 1 or not, but maybe in season 2 they start getting like music from the games in it and stuff too. And
Cool.
It's one of the few productions that I feel like you can tell that the people who made it were fans of the original content, and they really tried to do something that is for the fans.
I see. Cool. I'm not trying to be.
Get
I
the art
have
book
zero
at the very
opinion because
least.
I'd have to like check it out. I don't know. I tend to be grumpy about like what do you call it?
Spin-off media and
spin-off media.
Yeah. At the very least, check out the art book because I know that the art book is more your cup of tea for sure.
Cool. All right. Well, let me follow up and give you my opinion at some point. I definitely I loved Castlevania 3 for a lot of reasons, but it's hard. It's an old enough game. It's hard for me to imagine what it would be like to translate that to a modern media and have it kind of retain the same feel, which is fine. Like, if you adapt it and it's different, is fine. But like, I'm just curious how that. I guess I should check it out and get kind of a feel for like what they did because I'm interested a little bit at least.
I think the first 2 seasons were really solid. The next ones were entertaining to continue with, but it's like they kind of do the story of Castlevania 3, and then the next seasons are like kind of what comes after Castlevania 3. And
chronologically, you mean?
Yeah, like chronologically. Like there's characters from I think the what's it called? Hector, Castlevania. It's probably going to be hard to find the actual show or the actual game that it's built on. The Lords of Darkness, Curse of Darkness. So it's like they do branch into the other parts of the world. But I think those first 2 seasons where it's kind of just Castlevania 3 centric it was great.
Cool. All right. Well, I will pledge to watch at least the first episode, and then if it hooks me, keep going.
Yeah, that's what I would recommend.
Cool.
Otherwise, we're kind of approaching the end of our episode here. Have you had time to play anything?
Just screwing around with the Genesis, like I mentioned. Zero Wing is. I mean, it's such a simple game, really. It's kind of like just because of the silly memes or whatever, like a bit of almost a cultural internet icon or something. But the game itself's kind of fun. We played that a little bit. That's it, really. Just plucking around otherwise.
Nice.
Yeah.
We started playing a game last night called Superliminal, I think.
Okay. That's by I know those guys. Yeah.
It's interesting. It's kind of like a cross between Portal and Stanley Parable, I guess.
Yeah. Cool. That's by one of the guys that's really involved in the Indie Mega Booth.
Oh yeah?
Or was when it was alive. Yeah. I might have looked after their booth for a while for them.
Nice. Yeah, it's I don't know if you're into Portal or Antichamber, or like the types of games that kind of really make you have to think about your perception of what you're looking at. It's interesting.
Cool. Yeah. I know it's one of the better selling games on Steam even right now, and I think like its peers on that list are mostly like whatever AAA titles. So it's kind of a standout indie title right now, which is awesome to see.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Well, I
so
look
so
forward to hearing what you. Yeah, are you going to? Did you finish it, or are you going to finish it?
we just started it last night.
Cool.
So yeah, I think we're about a ninth of the way through the game.
Cool.
Their save system kind of like at least gives me that impression.
Yeah. Got it.
But yeah, it's pretty solid. And before that, let me just quickly remind myself, what did I just finish playing? Oh, I just finished Another World.
Yeah. How many hours total does that take?
It took me close to 4, I think.
Okay, so not super long. That's good.
No,
How's it feel to? I always like going back to those games that I played a ton when I was a kid,
Yeah.
or knew about, or saw ads for, and I never actually finished, and then finishing them.
Yeah, that's the thing is I think I played that when I was like 9-ish.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I was mentioning, that was part of like the Interplay 10th anniversary or something. And as a 9-year-old, I sucked at that game. It's like the very start of the game, you get out of a swimming pool and there's a beast that kind of chases you around, and that's all I experienced as a kid. That like trying to get past that beast and the little worms that like spike you, like those things. I never made it past that as a kid, and I don't know why. Because as an adult, I played that, and I think it took me 2 or 3 tries.
Yeah.
And then I got by that, and then it's just like, yeah, I totally didn't recognize anything else from that point. So it's got a couple of frustrating points. The controls are kind of awful. Like you don't get to play it with the control. You have to play it on the keyboard.
Yeah.
And
it controls like Prince of Persia, right?
yeah, a little bit. And there's like a couple of spots where you have to like do careful jumps, and it's just like really impossible to do careful jumps. So I had to redo that many times. And then there's just like 1 or 2 spots where it's like if you miss part of the puzzle, in one way it's smart because when you die it gives you checkpoints. And if you have to redo a lot of stuff when you die, then you know you're doing something wrong because it's checkpointing you at the spot that you're supposed to proceed from, not
okay.
So as like there's a spot where you got to flood a cavern with water, and I wasn't doing all of the stuff in the area that gets flooded, so I just kept successfully flooding it and going on and doing other stuff and dying in combat, and then having to reflood the cavern and stuff every time, and I was just like, come on. And then I eventually figured out what it was that I was supposed to do, and of course the checkpoint's friendly when you do it that way.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So there's like a built-in like I don't know, frustration mechanism to guide you.
Yeah. Yeah,
funny.
it's like when you find yourself redoing a bunch, then it's like, okay, I'm doing something wrong. I got to try something different.
Got it.
But yeah, it was somewhat of a short game once you figure it out, and not as difficult as I remember it from a kid. But it was cathartic to finally have that out of my brain. It's it's been like 35 years since I first played that, and it's just been niggling in the back of my brain. You abandoned me.
Right. Congrats. Tied the knot.
Yep. So with that said, I think it's time that we
Time to go.
wrap up this episode.
Oh, you reminded me of the other thing, the last criticism I have of this game.
This song.
I guess it's nice. It felt a little mismatched to me.
It felt completely mismatched to me.
After all the nice things I said about the music and how it was applied perfectly and went on and on about it, then this happened. Yeah.
Yep. I'll stop that because we can't get flagged for copyrights.
Yeah. Right. Alrighty, man.
All right.
See you
Have a good
next
one.
time. Yeah,
Cheers.
you too.